You're probably aware of the smartwatch I'm reviewing in this video, and that's because it's actually been out for a little bit of time now. Not a whole lot has changed on the surface of this wearable, but it's what's on the inside that counts. And it's why the Ticwatch Pro 3 can be considered one of the best WearOS smartwatches, if not the best one right now. But is that really saying a whole lot these days? Well, let's find out. This is Joshua Vergara. What's going on, everybody? Here are my thoughts on the Ticwatch Pro 3. Actually, I'm making some tea right now, so why don't we just show off that capability real quick. 4-minute timer. Mobvoi's latest flagship smartwatch continues the trends that made the first Ticwatch Pro a WearOS hit. Obviously, there is the secondary screen that stays pretty much on at all times so that you can park the smarts and just enjoy having a watch. It's enclosed in a large frame that might not be the most accessible one for certain users. For example, women might not gravitate to this decidedly black on black and large design, not to mention the size could prove tough to enjoy for anyone with smaller wrists. Even I'm pushing the limits with this on my wrists. By the by, I do have an old watch strap on here, replacing the half faux leather and half silicone band that the Pro 3 comes with. This is the Richard Tracy hammer band originally made for the Pebble way back when. It works well enough with the aesthetic of the Ticwatch Pro 3 though, so I kept it on. For some of you that might be interested in it, I went ahead and added a link to this watch band in the description. And while you're at it, why don't you go ahead and hit that like button if you like the look of my Ticwatch Pro 3. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more content on wearables like this. The rest of the design aspects are what you would expect from a high-end smartwatch. There are two large buttons on the right, one for navigation into the app drawer or back out to the home screens, and then the bottom button for accessing a quick shortcut. Neither are navigation or rotating dials, so all interactions with the software are done via the touchscreen. On the other side is a grille for the speaker, and then the undercarriage has the heart rate sensor that you can use while doing physical activities. The entire body of the Ticwatch Pro 3 is IP68 certified, so as long as you have a watch strap that can withstand the same elements, this watch can go in and out of the office or the gym or even the pool or the hiking trail, where the built-in altimeter and the GPS will come in handy. Now, I will admit that the rare times that I have worked out lately have all been indoors, so I don't have much to share about the outdoor activity-friendly features. I did mention pool earlier though, so I should further highlight for those of you that have asked in previous smartwatch videos that this Ticwatch Pro 3 is indeed suitable for tracking your swimming activities. There are very few surprises, if at all, on the design front, as the Ticwatch Pro 3 is simply the third iteration of an already established design language. It's big, it's powerful, and it's not shy about towing the line between black tie and bike rack. Oh, and there you go, tea's ready. As was the case with previous Ticwatch Pro devices, the marquee feature is the returning dual display. Aside from the 1.4-inch AMOLED display which renders all of the smarts, there is a low-power display that can be left on for the absolute watch essentials, telling the time and date as well as accessing just a couple of the other features like heart rate monitoring and step tracking when in the essential mode. As with pretty much every smartwatch, I make sure to toggle certain settings for the best battery life possible. I turn off the raise to wake, I don't let it wake up when notifications do come in, and it only turns on when I hit that main button. Coupled with the better performance specs within, the watch easily handles my general usage for up to 5 days without needing a charge. That is a metric that nearly no other WearOS device can boast, and it's only gotten better as Mobvoi hits version 3 of their Pro wearable. Indeed, the story of the Ticwatch Pro 3 is less about any changes on the outside and more about the work that was done within. As the first smartwatch widely available to sport the Wear 4100 processor, the Pro 3 is a showcase of what WearOS can actually do when it's given the right tools to succeed. And with now 1GB of RAM for all of the apps that you may or may not use, there's definitely enough room for this software to shine. And thus Mobvoi are not shy about adding or even changing up this software suite with their own offerings, including a brand new look for the app drawer and apps that measure blood oxygen levels, and then of course their own suite of health applications which all funnel data to the paired smartphone app. For those who really want to track every little part of their health and fitness, the Pro 3 provides many tools. You can monitor your stress, even take a few meditative breaths, and even measure the decibel levels of your environment to protect your hearing. And of course, you can always track your workouts whenever you finally get away from the binge-watching sessions. As always, the benefit of having a WearOS device is that you can use other applications where you see fit. I personally have always been a big fan of Sleep as Android as both my sleep tracker and smart alarm. It's through Sleep as Android though that I found one of my only real complaints with this watch. The haptics engine is literally one of the softest and worst I've ever felt. I can barely feel it for notifications, much less rely on it to wake me up in the morning with Sleep as Android's silent alarm function. Extra apps or not, the rest of the WearOS experience is largely unchanged. You can still get your notifications, reply to messages using voice or an on-screen keyboard, customize the look even if the essential screen is what you'll look at the most, and get Google Assistant in yet another easy-to-access place. But it's not Mobvoi's or even Qualcomm's fault that despite the great sum of the Ticwatch Pro 3's parts, WearOS is in dire need of attention. There are plenty of things that you can still do within the WearOS ecosystem, and manufacturers like Mobvoi do their best to bolster it with their own app offerings. But I just can't help but feel jilted when certain apps I would love to have at the ready on my wrist just aren't available. Now, I do hate to bring up the Apple Watch, but now that I've had that wearable experience, I have to mention certain applications like Authy and Simple Fasting for tracking my daily fasts, which work beautifully on that platform but are just non-existent on WearOS. Now I know it's comparing apples to Android oranges, but I have to mention it because the onus is on the app developers to adopt WearOS, and you can consider this my plea to them to do so. So maybe there's a cascading effect that could happen. WearOS finally has a better place to call home, which could facilitate more powerful smartwatches sporting the 4100 processor, which could then increase WearOS adoption rates, which then entices app developers to roll up their sleeves. Well, here's to hoping. I'm looking forward to when that happens, but for now, I still end up using the Ticwatch Pro 3 the same way that I would use any WearOS smartwatch, as a notification center that paradoxically adds a bit of minimalism to my daily tech usage. The watch is there for when something comes in because I then look at the notification and decide at that point if I want to get the phone out and further engage. Other than that, I use it mostly for sleep tracking and for just on-the-go timers for things like washing hands and, like I showed earlier, making tea. It just so happens that the Ticwatch Pro 3 has the performance and the endurance to be a great watch that has the smarts just waiting underneath that retro-looking surface. And for $299, the Pro 3 simultaneously justifies its premium, but also asks you to hope that WearOS eventually lives up to the potential that Mobvoi have presented here. For more on smartwatches and wearables like the Ticwatch Pro 3, make sure you subscribe to my channel. With all of that said, I'm going to call it on this one. Thank you so much for watching, take care of yourselves and each other, and enjoy your tea, everybody.